Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor. I am Reverend Drew Moeller. It is a pleasure to be with you here this morning. With those of you who are here in the sanctuary, it's so nice to see many of your faces. And for those of you who are joining us on Zoom, thank you for joining us on this kind of gray autumn morning. I especially want to welcome anybody who is joining us for the first time, whether you're here or online. It is always great to have visitors, and we hope if you're here that you'll take some time to hang out and get to chat with some of us. And if you're online, that you hang out afterwards for the virtual coffee hour that happens after the service. Before we get started this morning, we do have some announcements, so I'm going to invite Sue McKay to come forward and offer those announcements. Welcome, Sue.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We've got lots of announcements because we've got lots of things going on, and I have a little Q&A that Kat is going to help me with after I go through a few of the announcements. Spirit of Drumming is today at 11:30. They provide basic instructions if you want to come and aren't used to it. The holiday gift basket auction items are due. You can see Kathy Elliott right over there. They're due November 18th, and there will be a little inexpensive raffle available for a holiday throw and pillows. The mitten tree, where we bring in gently used or new mittens or hats. The mitten tree will be up the first Sunday in December, so please do that. Laura Santilli is a contact person. It'll reside back there underneath the clock. I think that's where where that chair is back there. The UU Common Read book, the orders are due November 15th. The book is Mistakes and Miracles by Nancy Palmer Jones and Karen Lynn. If you would see Lori Cartier, Lori Cartier is right there if you have questions. Hannaford gift cards are for sale as always. The annual fall cleanup is next Saturday from 9 to noon. We need able-bodied people to come and help. We do cleaning inside, we do cleaning outside. Now, it's Q&A time. Right, this has not been rehearsed. And I only have one copy. Thank God you're taller than me. Okay, you do the Q's, I'll do the A's.
Okay, let's go. What is the Imagine raffle?
It's an opportunity to win prizes up to $5,000 in value. Just imagine. Past winners have funded home improvement projects, bought home furnishings, and taken exciting trips. You can even choose more than one item.
How much are the tickets?
They're only $20, and we need our congregants to help sell them. The tickets practically sell themselves, especially when you tell people that the winner decides what they want to purchase. UUSB makes the purchase, and it's yours.
Are the winnings taxable?
Yep, just like other contests and games of chance. This is UUSB's largest fundraiser. Participants support all of the programs here at UUSB. Only 1,000 tickets are available for sale. The drawing will be held on January 15th, right after the Sunday service. Please stop by the table out there in the Dorothy Memorial Hall and talk to our team members, who Linda Sisson affectionately calls us the Rafflettes. That would be me, Linda, Rosemary Parsons, and Kate Dutra. We can provide you more details, and please pick up tickets and packages of tickets following the service. Thank you, and thank you, Kat.
So thank you, Sue and Kat, for that fun engagement with announcing our Imagine raffle. Just imagine the possibilities. With that said, I want to now invite you all to take a moment to center Take a couple deep breaths. Feel yourself sitting in that seat. Feel the surface on your backside. Notice the atmosphere in the room, the grayness filtering through the windows, but the warmth that is ever present here amidst this community, whether you're joining us online or here in person. Sit. Let the silence speak to you. And know that each and every one of you is blessed and welcome here, just as you are.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be a delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
Holly is such a blessing. And speaking of blessing, there's Jack, another blessing. Our chalice lighter this morning is Bruce Hautala. Ruby Bruce. There's Bruce. The chalice lighting reading this morning is entitled Present to the Moment by our very own Andrew Moeller. The journey of each of our lives begins again in each moment. In each moment is held a truth of that which is calling us forward and onward. Even when path and circumstances are unknown, still there is something that calls us to take the next step, something that beckons us to move onward. As we light our chalice flame, let us remember to be present in the light in each and every one of our hearts that calls us to continue to journey bravely forward in the midst of change together. Blessed be.
We're still on. There we go. We're mixing things up for Atticus back there. I'd like to invite you all to join in singing our opening hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. We're going to do verses 1, 2, and 3. The words will show up on the screen if you prefer to not hold the hymnal.
Thank you.
so nice to hear all of your voices. This morning, I wanted to share and take advantage of the fact that our young people, we have a few young people with us today, but our story is a little bit longer than normal. And it's a wonderful story by Leo Buscaglia called The Fall of Freddie the Leaf, which seems kind of appropriate for this time of season. It's a wonderful book about kind of end of life. And this is a resource that I have a copy of this in the office if any parents want to be able to talk to their kids or any loved ones about the transition of life ending. So we're going to view it as a video. So Atticus.
The Fall of Freddie the Leaf by Leo Buscaglia, Ph.D., published in 1972. Spring had passed, so had summer. Freddie the Leaf had grown large. His midsection was wide and strong, and his 5 extensions were firm and pointed. He had first appeared in spring as a small sprout on a rather large branch near the top of a tall tree. Freddie was surrounded by hundreds of other leaves just like himself, or so it seemed. Soon he discovered that no 2 leaves were alike, even though they were on the same tree. Alfred was the leaf next to him, Ben was the leaf on his right side, and Claire was the lovely leaf overhead. They had all grown up together. They had learned to dance in the spring breezes, bask lazily in the summer sun, and wash off in the cooling rains. But it was Daniel who was Freddie's best friend. He was the largest leaf on the limb and seemed to have been there before anyone else. It appeared to Freddie that Daniel was also the wisest among them. It was Daniel who told them that they were part of a tree. It was Daniel who told them that the tree had strong roots which were hidden in the ground below. He explained about the birds who came to sing on their branch and sing morning songs. He explained about the sun, the moon, the stars, and the seasons. Freddie loved being a leaf. He loved his branch, his light leafy friends, his high place in the sky, the wind that jostled him about, the sun rays that warmed him, the moon that covered him with soft, white shadows. Summer had been especially nice. There were many people in the park that summer. The long, hot days felt good, and the warm nights were peaceful and dreamy. They often came and sat under Freddie's tree. Daniel told him that giving shade was part of his purpose. "What's a purpose?" Freddie asked. "A reason for being," Daniel answered. "To make things more pleasant for others is a reason for being. To make shade for old people who come to escape the heat of their homes is a reason for being." Freddie especially liked the old people. They sat so quietly on the cool grass and hardly ever moved. They talked in whispers of times past. The children were fun too, even though they sometimes tore holes in the bark of the tree or carved their names into it. Still, it was fun to watch them move so fast and to laugh so much. But Freddie's summer soon passed. It vanished on an October night. He had never felt it so cold. All the leaves shivered with the cold. They were coated with a thin layer of white, which quickly melted and left them dew-drenched and sparkling in the morning sun. Again, it was Daniel who explained that they had experienced their first frost, the sign that it was fall and that winter would come soon. Almost at once, the whole tree, in fact, the whole park, was transformed into a blaze of color. There was hardly a green leaf left. Alfred had turned a deep yellow, Ben had become a bright orange, Claire had become a blazing red, Daniel a deep purple, and Freddie was red and gold and blue. How beautiful they all looked. Freddie and his friends had made their tree a rainbow. "Why did we turn different colors?" Freddie asked, "when we're on the same tree?" "Well, each of us is different. We've had different experiences, we've faced the sun differently, we've cast shade differently. Why should we not have different colors?" Daniel said matter-of-factly. Daniel told Freddie that this wonderful season was called fall. One day, a very strange thing happened. The same breezes that in the past had made them dance began to push and pull at their stems, almost as if they were angry. This caused some of the leaves to be torn from their branches and swept up in the wind, tossed about, and dropped softly to the ground. All the leaves became frightened. "What's happening?" they asked each other in whispers. "Oh, it's what happens in fall," Daniel told them. "It's the time for leaves to change their home. Some people call it to die." "Will we all die?" Freddie asked. "Yes," Daniel answered. "Everything dies, no matter how big or small, how weak or strong. We first do our job. We experience the sun and the moon, the wind and the rain. We learn to dance and to laugh. Then we die." "Well, I won't die," said Freddie with determination. "Will you, Daniel?" "Yes," answered Daniel, "when it's my time." "Well, when is that?" asked Freddie. "Well, no one knows for sure," Daniel responded. Freddie noticed that the other leaves continued to fall. He thought, "Must be their time." He saw that some of the leaves lashed back at the wind before they fell. Others simply let go and dropped quietly. Soon the tree was almost bare. "I'm afraid to die," Freddie told Daniel. "I don't know what's down there." "We all fear what we don't know, Freddie. It's natural," Daniel reassured him. "Yet you were not afraid when spring became summer. You were not afraid when summer became fall. They were natural changes. Why should you be afraid of the season of death?" "Does the tree die too?" Freddie asked. "Well, someday, but there's something stronger than the tree. It is life. That lasts forever, and we are all a part of life." "Where will we go when we die?" "Well, no one knows for sure. That's the great mystery." "Will we return in the spring?" "Well, we may not, but life will." "Then what has been the reason for all of this?" Freddie continued to question. "Why were we here at all if we only have to fall and die?" Daniel answered in his matter-of-fact way. "It's been about the sun and the moon. It's been about happy times together. It's been about the shade and the old people and the children. It's been about colors in fall. It's been about the seasons. Isn't that enough?" That afternoon, in the golden light of dusk, Daniel let go. He fell effortlessly. He seemed to smile peacefully as he fell. "Goodbye for now, Freddie," he said. And Freddie was alone, the only leaf left on his branch. The first snow fell the following morning. It was soft, white, and gentle, but it was bitter cold. There was hardly any sun that day, and the day was very short. Freddie found himself losing his color, becoming brittle. It was constantly cold, and the snow weighed heavily upon him. At dawn, the wind came that took Freddie from his branch. It didn't hurt at all. He felt himself float quietly, gently, and softly downward. As he fell, he saw the whole tree for the first time, how strong and firm it was. He was sure that it would live for a long time, and he knew he had been a part of its life, and it made him proud. Freddie landed on a clump of snow. It somehow felt soft and even warm. In this new position, he was more comfortable than he had ever been. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He did not know that spring would follow winter and that the snow would melt into water. He did not know that what appeared to be his useless dried self would join with the water and serve to make the tree stronger. Most of all, he did not know that there, asleep in the ground, were already plans for new leaves in the spring. The beginning.
Dear friends, please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life and love, we give thanks for being able to come together in this time and this place, to hold up the joys and sorrows that make up the fabric of our lives. Today, we hold in our hearts loved ones who have passed as we continue to recall the memories and the fondness that we had for them, and we miss them. We also hold those in our lives who have recently passed, and pray that whatever comes next, whatever the experience is after this life, that they are well adjusted to that change. Spirit, we also give thanks for being able to come together in community and having so many people here, people returning, young people returning, people in our community going off to do good work at Solidarity Harvest, caring for each other. And we give thanks for wonderful music, both our music folks here, for the telling of stories and music by wonderful groups like the Blind Boys of Alabama that give courage to our hearts and help us work through the sadness and the suffering that life sometimes brings. Spirit, it is a good thing that we are able to come together in this time and place, because we know that each life tells an important story, and each life holds a deep and abiding truth. By coming together and sharing these joys and sorrows with one another, we grow closer to each other, and we grow closer to becoming one. Blessed be. Amen. Thank you, Jack. Especially like that arrangement of the Spirit of Life. That's special. Now is a time in our service where we gather our Sunday offering. We gather our gifts, but not for ourselves alone. So half of whatever we gather today in our collection plate will be shared with Penquist services to provide assistance to people who will need help paying for fuel this winter as energy rises, prices continue to rise. So with that. is with gratitude that we receive this morning's offering and the resources that it provides this beloved community and Panquist Fuel Assistance.
Our reading this morning is entitled In Between by Kate R. Walker. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Between moments, events, results, action, no action. To stand on the threshold, waiting for something to end and something new to arrive, a pause in the rumble of time. Awareness claims us, alert, a shadow of something different. In between invitation and acceptance, in between symptom and diagnosis, in between send and receipt of inquiry and question, in between love given and love received. Liminally, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity, and disorientation, a ritual begun. Pause. Look back at what was. Look forward to what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable to wear. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of oil, in between choosing of text and the reading of words, in between voices and notes carried through the air into ears to hear, in between creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may disassemble and structures may fall. Communities may revolt or tempt trust. Tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge. The people may choose or refuse. In between, storm predicted, the horizon beacons. In between, theology or process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutiae and galaxies intermingle with microbes and mysteries. In between, millennial, that space where we wait, look, listen, feel, breathe.
Thank you, Molly, for that wonderful rendition of that song, something that touches deep in our hearts, and especially appreciative that this was a last-minute change for special music, owing to the fact that the person that we're hoping to have as a guest speaker was not able to make it this Sunday, so we're trying to reschedule the service about reducing harm. I am going to liberate myself from my mask. I'm back on. Am I on? Yeah, it's hard to believe that exactly 5 weeks ago, I was driving through the Allegheny Mountains on a beautiful autumn day. The sun was shining, the winds were calm, the temperature was mild, and the trees were all in the peak of their fall color. I had a lot on my mind. I was driving home to support my dad through his dying process. And I was leaving a congregation that I know and love dearly amid some leadership transitions. And I was going in the middle of sabbatical preparations, including a search for a sabbatical minister. I had left very abruptly. And part of my mind was still here in Maine, and part of my mind was wrestling with the reality that was waiting for me in Detroit. Still, somehow, by the grace of something, I found myself in a place of peace, awe, and wonder as I drove through that liminal space of upstate New York. The beauty, the colors, the warmth, the sunshine, all working their magic on me. I found my mind shifting, reflecting, letting go, allowing tears to come, and allowing memories to flow. There is something sacred in this time of fall, a time of intense beauty, a time of transition that lasts only for a couple of weeks or so, if we are lucky. And yet beneath it all, that golden richness and warmth, there is a somberness, almost melancholy-like energy that reminds me a lot of the song that Molly just sang for us, Fields of Gold, remembering good times, of wandering the fields, of letting go and returning. Fall is a time of transition, a time when deciduous trees shed their leaves and become lifeless and dormant for the winter. Just before their hibernation, the wholeness and beauty of their short, spectacular lives go on display in these shortening days. Their lives are not unlike our own, for in the end, it is in the end that we often remember the most, the special times that we spent with loved ones, of challenges that we faced together, in ways that our loved ones who are dying fill a special, tender spot in our hearts that radiates gratitude, love, and awe. Oh, how those memories come alive in those precious moments. They touch other memories that were long forgotten or taken for granted, or have remained unnoticed for so long. Vibrant memories that help us remember the sacredness of life and what it means to be intimate with another human being. Beauty, splendor, awe, wonder, all mixed with a tinge of this underlying sadness. It warms our hearts and softens them, bringing perspective about change as we realize that things are different and they will never be the same. I don't want to go into a lot of the details, but I will say that my dad had a peaceful end, about as peaceful as one could hope for. By the time I arrived home in Detroit, the concussion that he experienced several days earlier from a fall did the final job of scrambling the connections between his neurons. Simply put, he forgot how to talk, how to be conscious, and even to swallow. He just peacefully slept as my brother and I kept vigil, and as we engaged several of my dad's friends who came to say their final goodbyes and reminisced about the beautiful person that my dad was. I was also touched as one by one the people who had been caring for my dad for the last couple of years and the assisted living memory care unit said their final goodbyes to him too. It was simple. One moment he was breathing, and the next he wasn't. But he was surrounded by love, gratitude, and peace. Several days after my father's passing, my friends were trying to find a way to cheer me up a little bit. My brother and I had started working feverishly to clean out my dad's apartment and take care of all the paperwork needed that must happen when someone has died. Luckily, my friends reminded me that it was equally as important to relax and to attend to my own well-being. Among the many things that they suggested, they invited me to join them on an outing to downtown Detroit to the Institute of Arts to see an exhibit of work by the late Dutch post-impressionist artist Vincent van Gogh. I was initially reluctant. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be in public, but my friends were persuasive, and so I went. And I am really glad that I did. It was the medicine that I needed in that moment. Though the paintings and the sketches were enough to blow one away, I was amazed more by the incredible story about who Vincent van Gogh was. A man of deep feelings, a man who early in his life ministered to the poor of society, who studied theology but was not accepted into ordained clergy. A man who lived a good chunk of his life with people of poor and modest means, a person driven by passion, who could see the beauty in a landscape, but not in the way that we normally think of it, like a photograph. Instead, he captured the essence of simple things with vivid colors, broad brushstrokes, soft shapes and focus. He captured emotion and light from a place of being fully present in the moment. He was not objective, he was reflective in his art. Unlike other painters of the day, he did not spend weeks trying to perfect a masterpiece. He painted quickly and passionately. He was really in the moment. From a commercial perspective, he was not considered to be very successful, actually a failure. But his family, especially his brother Theo, saved and stored most of Van Gogh's paintings because he saw something in them that others did not. It was an act of caring and love. Still, for all of Van Gogh's sadness and struggles with mental health, he continued to live on his own terms. He created sketches and tactile paintings of with such immense skill and beauty that he is now accepted as one of the most influential post-impressionist painters of all time. It is so sad that he never lived to experience the infinite ways that he has touched millions of people's lives worldwide. How beautiful and sad that this great artist never got to know how many people's hearts and minds were touched and continue to be touched over 132 years after his death. Now, one of the things that I like about our Unitarian Universalist faith is that our first principle reminds us about the inherent worth and dignity of all people. It helps me to look into every person and look for that innate beauty that is there. When I combined it with my growing connection to insight meditation and Buddhist thought, it reminds me to look at the inherent worth and dignity of each person, not at the end of their life, not 5 weeks ago, but now in the present moment. Like Van Gogh did when he started and finished a painting the same day, sometimes within hours. This is the wisdom that I hear echoed in the Elder Leaf, Daniel and Leo Biscaglia's book, The Fall of Freddie the Leaf. We are all different. We all experience life in different ways. We even all die differently. So why wait until the end to appreciate the differences in our beauty? Well, going out with a big flourish and a fanfare is kind of exciting and romantic and intriguing. It's just as important for us to celebrate beauty, wonder, love today, while it is sacred and the people and things that we appreciate can be part of that celebration. It is this awareness that I have found extremely helpful and something that I would say has been changing my life as a minister. A great example of that is last summer when I went to Michigan to visit my dad. I had a sense that his days were numbered. So instead of waiting to tell him how beautiful he was and how grateful I was for his presence in my life, I told him those words in the moment. Then, there on the spot, under what we might consider normal conditions, it helped me give him the gift of knowing how blessed and appreciated he was. That has made a big difference for me when I returned home this fall, when my dad could not speak or communicate with me anymore. I knew that he knew, and I knew how much I meant to him. What else needs to be said in the grand expanse of spirit and universe? Many things change, but love and beauty don't. I have found that being aware and saying the things that we need to say to each other in the moment has served me well as a minister. There are so many people in the last year in this our congregation who I have sat by their bedsides as they were nearing the end of their lives. And I wasn't able to be there in the end, but I know that they knew that I loved them and appreciated them, and they felt appreciated. This whole idea of showing gratitude and love and being present to those we love in any moment reminds me of a poem recently shared with me by a dear colleague. The poem is written by Elder Olson. It says, "Nothing is lost. Be still. The universe is honest. Time, like the sea, gives back in the end, but only in its own way, only in its own conditions. Empires as grains of sand, forest as coal, and mountains as pebbles. Be still. Be still, I say, for you are never the water, only the wave, not the substance, but the form the substance assumed." Yeah, the form the substance assumed. So, dear friends, today my message to you is not a complicated or highly theological one. It is simply the message that has been taught to us by many, many different teachers throughout the ages, and that is to be present in the moment of all the glory that is unfolding around us, the beauty of nature going through the transitions, the beauty of the awkward and sometimes uncomfortable transitions that are going on in our lives. Take time to pause. Take time to be with those things and share with those you love those words of appreciation, gratitude, and celebrate the awe of life. Let us do that in that space in between the predicted storm where the horizon beckons, in between theology and process that reminds us to step back, in between the minutiae of galaxies that intermingle with microbes and mysteries, in between, liminal, that space where we wait, look, listen, feel, and breathe as we walk together in fields of gold. Blessed be. I now invite you to join in singing our closing hymn, number 32. Now we thank all our goddess or God or spirit, whatever word you choose to insert at the end. As we extinguish our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, symbol of faith, hope, love, connection, and our calling to be present to the moments of beauty unfolding all around us. Let us be reminded that although our worship has come to an end, our service to each other and to the world has just begun. The flame doesn't want to go out. I now invite you all to join in singing our benediction.